at one time I had the chance to listen to it. Yeah, so they sent me a copy because it was not us reading, and I was driving in my car and listened to it and said, "Wow, who said that? That sounds interesting."
Who said that? That's really. I've been using there's a little. So I'm not sure if it was called a proverb, but I've been using the proverb that's in the book about the fish being the last to discover water.
Water, yes.
I've been using that quite often. I after listening, I noticed myself putting it into conversations nowadays.
That's good.
So yeah, it's good. Yeah, very memorable.
Yeah.
To make a point.
Oh, I'm happy that at least one little thing was valuable. The thing about the fish, the water.
Very powerful. Yeah, exactly. But the audiobook is no, it's great. It's good. I like audiobooks because you can listen to it while walking the dog or on the bike or so it is nice, and it's still and it's good because I have dyslexia, so for me it's great to kind of have these audiobooks. But I can go like, go back 15 seconds, like what was that? Do it again. Say it again. Oh, okay, interesting. And
good.
But there was some research done. I was reading an article about this, that listening to a book and reading a book actually activates the same part of your brain. Mm-hmm. So it is very similar. So it's not like it's a different experience in the end. So you do kind of capture, you get the same information basically. So yeah, it's cool. But did you know they were doing it? Were you involved in the audiobook? Or
no, but they told us that they wanted to do it, and we were very happy. So that they did it, but it was they would just had somebody with a nice voice, and he then started reading it. Yes, so and that was, and for me it was really a surprise, and maybe that's the different part of the brain when you write a book than reading it or listening to it. Yeah, because many things felt very new, as I just mentioned. So, and that was interesting.
Yeah, it must also be different. I mean, if you're the author and then basically reading out the book yourself, must also be an interesting experience as well. Yeah.
Yes, that would be interesting.
Because but hearing someone else read it to you, it's kind of funny experience. Yeah, that I can imagine. Yeah, because it's also, I think it's an American voice as well.
It's American voice.
Right? So it's because that makes it a little bit more like, oh yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, my colleague Alan, he's also American. He's American Swedish. Yes, so but he lived most of the time in America. So and Chelsea Green, one of his earlier books was published there. That's how we got across them. So interesting.
We've got about 20 people here, and we're going to start in a minute. Hopefully we get more people coming. So certainly we're a lot of people registered. Hello, everybody. We'd love to hear where you're from. If you want to put in the chat where you're calling in from, your location. We got people here. I see Portugal is on the line, and South Carolina, Romania, UK, Kent, Memphis, Miami, Florida. Oh, Washington, D.C., another Washington, D.C. person. Great. Harlem.
Germany again.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It looks like we're about to get some people from Mexico.
Hugo.
Hi, Axel.
Hi.
Hi, Hugo.
My new friend from Portugal.
Hi, guys. Hi, girls.
Hello. All right, welcome everybody to Wednesday Web Jam. We're just waiting for a few more people to get in and then we're going to start. It is about 11 o'clock. How many people do we have in here now, Yunyan? About, looks like 30 or so.
Yep. I think the others are stuck in traffic.
Okay. Well, it's the top of the hour, right? So it's 5 o'clock in Europe, where Axel is, so we should get started. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Web Jam, the 48th edition of it. I'm Steve Bozak, and today I'm thrilled that I get to introduce Axel Klimek, who is the co-author of Parachuting Cats into Borneo, a book about change and designed to help change agents. Axel's a coach and an organizational development consultant. And he came to us because on February 10th, we did an episode of this web jam reviewing his book, Parachuting Cats into Borneo, that he co-wrote with Alan Atkinson. And our audience seemed to like it a lot. And Danny, who is here from Sao Paulo, started posting about it on LinkedIn, and Axel read the post and contacted us, and we said we should come on and do a presentation about change and change leadership. So without saying much more, I'm going to hand it over to Axel and let him tell you about coaching and leadership change.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve. So welcome you to our little cafe. And the subtitle of the book, so the title is Parachuting Cats into Borneo, and the subtitle is And Other Stories from the Change Cafe. And for both things, for the subtitle and for the book, there's a good reason. So when my colleague Alan and I were thinking about the concept of the book, we were wondering, and probably you have heard about that too, that only 1/3 of all change processes, intentional change processes in organizations are successful. That means 2/3 fail in a way. On the other hand, you see huge changes happening. And in those days, Alan and I were working on a change process in South Africa. Of course, everything is there around Nelson Mandela. But just think about the Friday for the Future. So one young lady is initiating something and it's increasingly successful. And all these smart people who are thinking about organizational change. So we thought, what can be behind it? And we noticed that a lot what is not looked at is what we call the human side of change. So change theories very often look at the process and the steps, but not how human beings are involved in a change process. And another thing what was fascinating is that the first studies on that success rate of change was already done more than 20 years ago. And in the last 20 years, probably thousands of books were written about change management and how to make it successful. And it did not increase at all, the rate. And so we said, okay, we will have now maybe the 100,000 first book, and it will not do any better. And we were wondering and said, hey, what is it? Because we believe that, so that is now the Change Cafe idea. We believe that it's not necessary to learn another theory or method. But what we want to do, we believe that those people involved in change, they should or could start a good dialogue with colleagues and reflect, what are we doing? What is successful? What is not successful? And that is why we wrote the book in the context of sitting in a cafe, like we are doing now, and just talking about it and maybe reflecting together. And that is what I would like to do with you. So I hope you have a coffee or a glass of water, or whatever, and let us be like in a cafe and chatting to each other. So in this web jam, what I want to focus on is, on the one hand, is the human side of change is somehow connected, if we look at it at the mindset, and it is our mindset which is creating our reality. It's an illusion that we believe we live in reality. We live in the reality which our mind is creating, and the mindset is engraved in the neuron connection of our brain, and I will talk a little bit about that. So changing mindset means changing brain, and if we want to really do that, we need to understand a lot about how humans learn. And we believe, or I believe, that any change agent has some kind of role as a leader, not a leadership understanding like in hierarchy where a manager is automatically a leader, which he usually is, but a leader is somebody who has an idea to change something and he makes it impactful. Yes, so, and nowadays we are much more in a phase where we face something what we call VUCA. Life is getting more complex, and we believe that leadership needs to develop. And one thing about the development is a kind of self-development process, and for a self-development process we need to have self-awareness, and I will teach you a little exercise doing a coach state, so you might use it. Then it will be about half an hour, my presentation, so until Steve and I agreed to 5:28. We will have a few questions, and then we go into breakout sessions, and then we have reflections. So I have a little clock here telling me, okay, at the point at 5:28, I should be finished with that one. This is one image we use, and I think this is already saying a lot about the concept of human side of change. We very often see a change challenge as a mountain. Yeah, so, wow, this is what we want to achieve. Nowadays, organizations try to boil it down. Do we have the right skills and competencies to climb the mountain? But what they very seldom do is asking the question, what is the attitude, the relationship between the people and the challenge? And that is what we think it's mindset. So our mindset is creating the real relation I have with a challenge. And here in Germany, we very often use the image, the glass is half empty or half full. Yeah, so if you have the image, wow, I'm not sure if I have the possibilities to climb the mountain, the result will be different than, wow, that's cool, I'm the first one who can climb it. Yes, so, and that attitude is what we want to look at. And not just with the people who need to deliver the change at the long run, but also for us with change agent. And that's why the subtitle was Avoiding Parachuting Cats into Borneo for Us Change Agents. So everything, all the mindset what we have is graved into the neurosystem of our brain. And some brain science say that about, and this is, if you really take that in, that about 95% of the day, we are acting out of habitual ways of thinking, feeling, and acting. And this is, for example, sure. So if I dream, I will dream in German. Yes. So Hyun Yang will dream in Cantonese. Yes. So and Hugo in Portuguese. But also, so as I was saying, the glass is half full and half empty. This is also part of it. And this is also what I believe how we should induce a change process. Yes. So, and this is very important to understand because, as I said earlier, if we don't understand that, we don't know how to really help people to change in a context. And this mental model, and there are so many words to it. So we have mental model, we have mindset, we have frames of reference, we have action logic. They're all about the same, and they all say we human beings filter reality. We have an inner image. So when I look outside my window here, I see lots of trees, but I don't see the trees. I only see the reflection of the trees in my brain. And so perception is a very active process where we nowadays know that we filter out lots of information. And that perception then will give me an experience. As I said, half empty will give me a very different experience than half full. And that then will determine what kind of actions I choose. And definitely that will determine the outcome I will have. So the mindset, the same image as earlier, is that kind of filter. And if I have a red filter in front of myself, the mountain will look red. If I have a green one, it will look green. And without us as change agents knowing what kind of filter system there is, we will have we have little chance to really reach people. So I would like to explore that with a real example. So I've put it up I asked somebody to do some graphics about it, but it was really from a moment when I worked with a company. It was a sales department, and it was in the beginning of Corona time. So the top management said, we need to move to a digital strategy. And all of you who have been involved in change in salespeople, their understanding is, okay, I get into my car, I drive 300 kilometers, then I go and I have a coffee, and due to my great connection I can build, that is how I made the change possible. And for them to understand or play with the idea of it could be possible to do that via a digitalized Zoom, it was impossible. Yes, so it is really a huge change. On the outside level, not so difficult, yeah, because you just have to put on the KPIs 20% digital sales activities. But the mindset in the people, that was probably not really matching with that. And in that little picture, I call them Divya and Frank. So when I listened to Divya and Frank, I somehow noticed when they are looking at the mountain, they see total different mountains. For Divya, it was, wow, it was more like a little hill. Yes, so wow, that's cool. So we can have digital sales activities. And Frank, who knew the people a little bit more, these salespeople, he said, it's impossible. They will not follow us. So with that in mind, I just, when I was talking to them, I said, hey, what do you believe if you go now to your sales team and present these two different attitudes? How likely is it that they will follow you and say, this is good? Because Paul will definitely attract all those people who say, no, there's no chance we can do it. And maybe Divya will attract those people who say, and then we will have the same tension which they had in their small team in the group. So I said, we need to understand first a little bit more. And it was interesting. We had a good conversation, and it was clear where that mindset was coming from. So Divya grew up in Singapore. She was in a larger family. Her father, he started a couple of companies. He went to university and school in the US. So she was always constantly changing. And for her, something new, that was great. Frank, he grew up in a little village in Germany, And if you really live in German villages, you know how conservative it is. Yes, so in some villages, there's still a plan that you need to clean the pavement at Fridays or Saturdays. Yes, so, and for them to do something awkward or new, it's difficult. So they understood, wow, we perceive our effort of change so differently because we have very different heritage. Now, as I said, that about 95% of our activities are habitualized, and only 5% is coming from a very clear reflection. So our brain, in more or less, is limiting our abilities to see things differently. But this is only one part of what our brain is doing. Another part is what we call plasticity. And our brain can change. And our brain changes when we make new experience. Our brain cannot stop changing. So we need to, if we want for people to change their mindset, we need to put them into environments where they can experience something new. And this is definitely very often not understood in organizations which only give the goal for a change and only follow the logic and start appealing, you have to do that. So what we did first with Divya and Paul, we said, hey, we need to try out in a safe place, climbing mountains. We need, and this is definitely something I feel that what you, when you're coming from design thinking, do a lot. You create an environment where people can try out things, where they communicate, where they help each other. And that initiates the brain to change through these new experiences. And after we did that for some time, what we noticed that their perception of reality of Divya and Paul was similar. And at that moment, it was much more easy for them to integrate their team into that activity, to talk with the same language. And what in that change process we needed to do is have a phase where the salespeople could try out things, because what we realized is we have quite a few older people who are not aware of how to use Zoom or Teams. Yes, so they were very shy in using that new method or that methodology. And we had other young people, and they came up with some great ideas. So they said, okay, one of the first things we should do, we should have a kind of visiting card in form of a little video. So, and then one of the team was saying, hey, I do that for my friends all the time. So she was traveling to all of her colleagues, and they were producing some videos. What we did, we had often meetings where we exchanged what happened, what did not happen, what we call action learning. It's the kind of, you go in action and you reflect how it is. And some of the people who were not so familiar with technology, they started saying, hey, I used Zoom with my nephew or with my uncle or with my aunt. Yes, so and in that we created an environment where they could, in a playful way, try out the new things in order to overcome all the blockages which were there. And what we usually find, and this is the other side from coming from brain science, organizations, there's still the belief that we need to have a threat or pressure on people so they can change. And this is, I think, the newest science. You can say, sorry, it's bullshit. what happens when we are put under pressure and we are put into anxiety, our brain, maybe you can see it on the right-hand side, that brain has little 3 Fs. It automatically, it will go in the flight, freeze, and fight modus. And there's no learning. Maybe the only learning is, how do I adapt to threat? But there's no creativity possible. There's no new learning possible. So, and probably this is for me very important to understand, that if I start a change process, I think one of my biggest challenge in the beginning is, how can I align the mindset about change to all levels, with the people who need to live it, with maybe the team leaders, but also maybe with the management and other other stakeholders around. Yeah, because otherwise there will be unnecessary pressure, and that will definitely, yeah, erase the energy of change which is needed. So this is my little introduction on how mindset and how our brains collaborate in any change process, and how important it is to use rather things. And there I believe, okay, we have nowadays, we have theory U, we have design thinking, we have generative coaching, and they are all things, they try to create the surrounding where change can happen. And this is still not very, done a lot in organizations. So I would like to shift the focus. And this is more the general aspect. And parachuting cats into Borneo, and especially avoiding parachuting cats into Borneo, is the title, We as Change Agents. And if you had a chance to read the book or listen to the YouTube video where I was explaining about the background of the title, there was a good intent to help Borneo with malaria, and the change agent, the scientist, had a good logic. Malaria is connected to mosquitoes. If we can kill mosquitoes, there will be no malaria. The background is that is a cause and effect thinking. They did not see the complexity in the environment. So a change agent is, if he wants to induce a change, he's getting into a kind of leadership position. And there is a model from William Talbot, Levels of Leadership. And this, when it was written, and we will send you also a link to a Harvard Business Review article on Talbot. And also there's a guy, Barrett Brown, who built on that one. You also will get a link to that one. He was, in those days, leadership was the same as managers. Yeah, but I believe nowadays we have organization like who is organized as in the forms of holacracy, where you have self-organized teams, and even there somebody wants to achieve something, he wants to do something, so that is leadership. Greta is a great leader without anybody giving her the title, now you're a leader. Yes, so and Talbot was saying that over time what we can see is that leaders, they have different attitudes towards leadership, and that there are some attitudes, and you have the numbers. So there was some research done, how many people are in which, and you can say the top 4, until from the opportunist, diplomat, expert, and achiever, I think these are most of the leaders you nowadays find in organizations. And they are very often focusing on things which are very much connected of achieving something, a clear result, being an expert of a field, but they are not very easy in integrating the whole field. And it is the individualist who, and the strategist and the alchemist who rather are able to work in a complex system. And that means the strategist is one who can build bridges in the room. Where there are conflicts, he has an idea what he can do. And it is the achiever, he is rather focusing what needs to be done to achieve that goal. The expert is, tell me a problem and I will fix it. And we as change agent, and there is now the possibility for us to move on that level upwards. And Hugo was giving a great talk 3 weeks ago, and he was saying, okay, we need feedback to have a look at our blind spot. And I believe that feedback is great, and an achiever, he's looking for feedback to be more successful in achieving very often. But if you tell an achiever, hey, maybe your achieving attitude is not very well matching, you rather need something to talk to your group, what are the forces in that, and you need to bridge. He might say, no chance, my deadline is next week. So in order to go up that level, we need to have self-awareness. And self-awareness is a little sweet spot. We have the 95% of our brain who are going habitualized. We have 5% who can reflect maybe more with a distance. And the sweet spot is self-awareness. It is an inner observer observing my own mental models and action logics. And this is something what our mind can do. It can work in a threefold way. And in order to do that, we need something, we need to learn something. I take that from two people I've learned that from, Stephen Gilligan and Robert Dills. I need to move into a different state. We call it this coach state, which gives me the ability to perceive what's happening inside of myself, but also what's happening in the room. And to close, I will be 2 or 3 minutes late. Steve, sorry about that.
Keep going.
But I would like to teach you that coach state. And then when we will move into breakout rooms, you will work on that a little further. So what I want you to do in a moment, I run you through an inner process and tell you what I do to get into my coach state. And I invite you to do the same at the same time. Yes, so you can do it sitting, I'm standing here. And the coach state is an inner state which has the ability to observe much more clearly what's happening inside about my mindset and what's happening outside. So may I invite you? So I see a couple of images and I will run you through, and you will notice the shift which will happen inside of myself. So when I move into the coach state, coach stands for center, opened, aware, connected, and holding. So what I do, very often I close my eyes and I center myself. And already by closing my eyes, I notice that I start feeling my feet. And maybe if you're sitting, maybe you can feel the feet on the floor. And this is the first thing what I notice. I notice that my awareness, I'm almost forgetting you and where I am. I'm much more sensing my feet. This is centered. And then I also center around noticing my breathing. It's slowing down. The breathing is much more in my belly. Okay. And then I open up to the openness. Open means I open up to everything which wants to happen. I open up to my thoughts, my feelings. I open up to you, who I don't see, but I know that there are many people all over the world around now. And then I switch on my awareness. That means I want to be even more sharp in what I can perceive, inside and outside. It is like switching on the inner light of mindfulness, of awareness. And I do that by even going further inside of myself, going deeper into my breathing, and then I connect myself. I connect myself to all my experience, my resources. I connect myself to the people who are there. I connect myself to the ability to come up with new ideas. I connect myself with the emergent field of the future to come. And the last thing is, I create the inner attitude of holding. It is like inviting everything what wants to come, be a guest inside of myself. That I don't leave anything outside, that I don't close any door. Anything is welcome, just because it is. So, and then I want to ask myself the question from 1 to 10. I want to have the inner state of coach at about a level of 6 or 7 before I move into actions. That is my preparation for a change process. So, and what we want to do is we want you to move into breakout rooms in a moment, and you can, first thing is you will have one person teach the others about the mindful, that exercise, and then you can either go like I did, and then you can discuss about how would that affect your work, or you go one by one and teaching about. But now it's you, Steve. Sorry, almost 5 minutes late.
No worries. Thank you very much. You were getting us all into another state. I feel like I could really. Your voice is very calming and relaxing. It's nice to listen to. So I wanted to see if there's any questions before we go into breakouts. Axel has put the instructions here, talking about getting into the coach state. And I believe that we're also going to be putting those instructions in the chat. There, Anupa has just put step 1 into the chat, and that should stay with you. Does anybody have questions about what you're doing in breakouts? You're going to be 3 people per breakout room. So you're going to do this with 2 other people. I don't see any questions. So we are going to go, and then do we have activity number 2 also?
Sorry, Steve. Yeah, that's what we're missing.
Okay.
How much time do we have?
You're going to have a little less than 15 minutes. So you're probably going to have more around 12 or 13 minutes, just because we want some time for questions at the end. But you're going to go practice getting into the coach state and discussing that. So Yunyan, would you take us off to breakout rooms, please?
Yes, I'm going to open breakout rooms, and I see people running away. Wait. Okay, you will be with 2, perhaps 3 persons. I'm going to open the rooms, and if you're alone in your room, I'm going to adjust it. Okay, have fun and see you in a few minutes.
And just, yep, great.
There you go.
All right.
Oh, Yen, you invited me to room 4 with my second screen, so
No
probably I will
problem.
not go there.
No problem. I'm going to double check.
Yeah, and you invited me to 6, so I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, no problem. I can see it.
So make sure you accept the room you're being assigned to. Uma, Mariam, Colleen, Maha.
Yeah. And now I start adjusting.
All right. Some of us are going to stay here. Axel and I think Anupa.
Yeah, it's okay.
And Mimp. So Axel, do you want to do this again? You pick these roles, or should we alternate? I guess I was listening to you. I'm wondering if you can put up your slide again on getting into the coach state.
So Yunyang, you invited me to go to room 1 also, so I delete that, yeah?
Yeah, very good.
Okay. So let's go. Oh, oops.
Yep, you're there, and you've got your.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, I still check the rooms. There are 2 and 3 persons. Yeah. So I think people are fine.
Okay.
And Wiebke is with us. No, I will replace Wiebke.
Yeah. So what would help you most, Steve and Anupa and Yu Yang? And so should we go over that again? Should I do mine again, or do you want to teach me your way of getting into the coach state?
When you're in the coach state, I'm curious. I mean, it sounds like something that you'd get better at with practice. And maybe if you had some experience doing meditation, it would be easier as well, right? It seems to be almost a meditative state of awareness.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I would like to see if somebody else would like to walk through it, and I'd like to try getting in it again, or I can do it. Anupa or Mimp, are you willing to read through these coach states?
Sure. Axel, actually, would you like to read it so we can all join in it, or would you like me to read it out? What would you like?
No, it would be good if maybe if you have an own way how you can become a little bit more aware, or a little bit more focused, or a little bit more coach state like. Yeah. So what would you do? So how do you get out of the noises of your head telling you you should do that and that and that, and maybe then you're missing the whole audience? Yes. So what is your practice of being more aware?
So one of them would be what you had proposed right now, is to kind of center yourself, calm your mind, and then kind of be aware of what you need to feel and do in order to connect with your environment, rather than connecting with your environment at first. However, I would like to tell you that we had a session with Michael Thorley, and I think he was talking, and Anna, and they were talking about silence and how do we bring that into our surrounding. And I realized that the state of silence for me was through music, and it was not complete, centering myself within my silence, which I would do right now. So I think it would be it would be a mix of both.
Yes, and if you now really would turn your awareness a little bit more inside and say, hey, I would like to be a little bit more in that coach state, what would you do? Would you close your eyes? Would you put your awareness to your breathing? Would you feel your feet? What exactly would you do?
Yes,
And maybe
definitely.
do it and tell us, and I will
Okay.
copy you.
Okay, so everybody close your eyes.
Okay.
Concentrate on your breathing. Make sure it's very slow, almost that you can hear yourself. And start connecting with yourself rather than your environment. If you feel that there are thoughts coming in, let it be, but try and reach a state of calmness where you can focus on yourself and the thoughts that you'd like to kind of engage with in the future. So yeah, and breathe in very slowly and feel the silence and peacefulness within you. And then connect to what is around you and to your resources and your potential, and hold that vision so you can connect with the others around you after that. And open your eyes.
That's nice. It was very easy for me to follow your voice, and when I was doing that, I immediately had a much more, I was being inside, but I felt you much closer, like you were almost here. Yes. So, and I feel connected to you. Yes. So
Thank you.
that is. What about the others?
Yeah, I would love to share something with a challenge as well. My mind at this moment is occupied. I'm looking at 3 different screens, and I'm expecting certain buttons to go off. I hear Anupa's voice. I see you are there. You all have closed your eyes as if you are shutting me out. I know you're not. Still, I want to come to you.
Yes.
But the screens, the buttons, the eyes, the not eyes. So given that situation, my desire really is to follow you. Yeah. But I can't make the step, it seems, or I do, you know, but on purpose and with force, I might be able to do. Perhaps in my mind's telling myself, let the buttons go, let the Zoom control go.
Isn't that interesting? Wow.
Now the challenge and the question is, how do you cope, deal, approach, work, hold that?
It is actually, it is pretty easy. So the last thing is holding, and holding is a container. So you need to expand that container. And there's one part, Yung Yang, who's responsible. She can be in the container. There's another, and that's a very different Yung Yang, the one who feels left out. Yes, so this is more psychological issue of your mind. Yes, so and that is also, invite that, say that is interesting. And now when we have that ability, we surround everything which there is, and then we can see what is the next possible step. Yeah, so usually the coach state is trying to be more and more expanding so that everything can happen. And it's not easy, of course. That part of your mind which sees the button says, no, you have to be alert, come on. And maybe after some times you can say, no, I can trust myself. I will notice when there's something important happening. Yeah, I can do that exercise with eyes open. Yes, so, and I will notice. Yeah, but the thing is, you expand your awareness.
When you say expand, it feels to me as embrace.
Yes.
Embracing it, and there's a certain moment I can't embrace, but that's no problem. I still, in my mind, make this gesture of embracing.
Yes.
Yeah, what is.
And and we can already see that attitude. So if I'm a change process, you have some people, they are reluctant to do that, others are very eager, and there needs to be somewhere in the room somebody who's embracing all and saying, hey, this is okay, and that is okay, and that is okay, and now let's see, when we put alchemy to it, what wants to happen in these circumstances.
I think, guys, I just want to say, I just sent a message to everybody that we'd be bringing them back in a minute because I want to leave some time for questions.
Yep.
Yunyan, do you think it's time to close the rooms?
Yeah. And they will be back within 13 seconds. So do you want me to close it now?
Yes, that would be good.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Axel.
Thank you, Axel.
You're welcome.
And hello, Pedro. I hope the pinball effect is still in your head and we made you dizzy last night.
I am dizzy already, yes. I mean, I've been working like mad today, so I managed to find a bit of time to join here.
Welcome.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you you had an interesting experience trying to get into the coach state or coaching someone into the coach state. So now is the time for just reactions in the chat on what that experience was like. Was that difficult? Was that easy? Did you take the coach role? Did you take the coaching role in trying to help people into the coach state? Please let us know how it was. If you want to raise your hand, we can call on you and give us your reaction. Amazing. Cry, where are you? All right, I see some people. I've met a mountain on my way. Lisa.
Hey.
Lisa, what was it like for you? Can you unmute?
Actually, it was a very good exercise, can I say. For me, it reminded me of some sort of meditation. And I'm aware it was the first steps, but then it's really while turning on own life, I understood that's in step number 4 when I should find all the resources and potential to reach exactly my goal. Exactly as this guy in the Axel's presentation, seen a very big mountain on my way. I haven't seen it really before, right now, right today. I haven't seen that I have so huge challenge in my mind. So it's really kind of opened my mind that it's really, I have a mountain, it's only in my head. So I have to work with it. But actually I was applying this method not to like get in a coach state when I would have to meet people and give them a lecture or try to lead them. I actually been a little bit egoistic and just applied it on my current state of mind. So yes, fantastic result. I can see like we have determined the problem.
Thank you.
Right.
Any other reactions? No? I see some other people putting, I feel coach is a great guy. This is MIMP. I feel a coach is a great guide to introduce to mindfulness and really helps the mind stay focused. So yeah, it definitely seems to me like some practice meditating would be helpful getting into this coach state. Well, we don't want to restrict questions to our reactions to just the coach state. We have Axel here with all his experience in change management and organizational development. I know there was some discussion in the chat earlier about how to convince people to change, how to bring people along in a change process. Does anybody have any other questions or comments that they want to make that were going on before in the chats? I don't know if Bernard is still here. He had some comments, but it looks like he has left.
Nachka has a question. He says, how do we hold and sustain the state after we prime ourselves and other participants?
Sorry, I did not get it. What?
It's in the chat. So he asked, how do we hold and sustain the state after we prime ourselves and other participants?
How do we do what?
Maybe Nachket like to speak.
Steve?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, how do we hold and sustain the state after we have, primed ourselves into this coach state?
Yes, I think that's a great question. Yes, so and it's building very much into the function of the mind. Yes, so we have the tendency to at 95% go on automatic pilot. And I think the automatic pilot is great because the brain has learned so much over the times and we can trust it that he's doing the right things. But there are moments when we somehow, it is good if we can keep a little bit of awareness, which can tell us in the room that things are not going smoothly. And then if we notice that, that is the moment when we want to reflect and maybe reactivate the coach state, because if things are not going smoothly, again, the habitualized way of doing, maybe we start getting impatient, maybe we want to use force, and that will definitely on the long run rather increase the problematic. Yes, so and with some practice you will keep that coach state present in almost all the time. Yes, so there's always that little sweet spot inside of yourself saying, hey, there's something happening which is not as I wanted it, and then you go deeper into perception, feeling what that is. But great question.
I have a question. You go into this coach state. I imagine you bring clients into it when they're alone. I mean, when they're in a group managing a deliverable, I mean, you're trying to get them to understand that coach state so they can call themselves back into it. I mean, you talked about the achiever being deadline focused and how when we get focused on process, and we talk about in one of our programs, focus on people and not process, really understand people's human needs. And it sounds like, there's just so much pressure in life to get the job done on time. So how do you stay in that coach state when you're surrounded by people asking what they're supposed to do?
Yes, that's great, and I really also believe that there's the need to focus on people. But when we say focus on people, we ask ourselves, what do we want to focus on? And not just people as such, but what I focus on is trying to find out, are there habits activated in a person?
Okay, let's hold the state until Axel returns.
The team. Oh,
it looks like did we lose Axel?
I think
lost him.
Okay.
That's a
Actually,
first.
yeah, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Right now, I'm just helping Axel a little bit with his social networks. We're just in the beginning of our path. So actually, if you have any question, I have shared the link to new official page of Center for Sustainability Transformation. And actually, if you still have some question left, you are welcome to follow our page and actually continue the discussion there. Well, you have a fresh start if Axel won't come back. So,
okay.
Yes.
So that's
I should be back.
I've been affected.
Oh.
That was a commercial break. We had a commercial break.
It wasn't planned.
So that was the commercial break.
Yes.
I hope. So do you have me back here?
Yes.
Yes.
We hear you. Yep.
No. Wow, what is... Yeah. Okay, sorry for that. I don't know my...
We can hear
compute.
you.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, now
You might want to turn off
you
your other
can't or you can. Let
We
me
can
see.
hear you, but
We
can't
can
see you.
hear you.
So let me go over there. Let me go over here.
I think you're closing your eyes.
on.
That's why we can't see.
Can you hear me here?
Yes.
Your coach stage. You're really good
So this is now improvising.
A cat was falling on your computer.
Axel, you made us
No.
wait for what to come, and this came. You went away. and
Something
you
like
came
that,
back.
yeah.
We're
So funny, there's a very black hole.
Looks like we're getting a
Yes,
lot.
this is. So now I'm sitting here.
Are you
No.
are you ready to
So now I'm
take
sitting here.
Anna's
So now-
question?
Doesn't matter where you sit, we can't see you.
he's in a cafe.
It's just a filter.
You still can't see me.
No, we see we have an image of you on one screen, but yeah, now it looks like you've deleted that one, or you've got it.
Yeah. The trickiness of virtual webcams.
There was a
You'll have to
moment.
come back for part 2.
There was a moment I thought the coach stage is really serious stuff, but now I understand it better.
You get very, very centered and then you're gone.
Everybody remembers.
Be careful, there's a black hole at the end.
In the very center of your belly, there's a spot where nobody will find you ever again.
For everybody, we're gonna have to just tell you what's next for.
Now, can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, Axel. I think we have to wrap up though, because it's almost the top of the hour and people can stay around for the backstage.
And in the backstage, we are going to find another letter to add to the coach state.
Okay. And do we have an announcement for next week's web jam that we want to share with everybody?
I will do it now.
Union,
There's Pedro.
Pedro,
Oh,
Unmute
unmute
yourself, Pedro.
yourself.
Yes, now I'm unmuted, yes. And hello, everyone.
Hello,
Pedro.
So I might ask, is there a slide somewhere that I can actually talk over it, or can I just present our lovely Katharina Berger for next session?
Ooh.
There is a slide.
Fantastic. My goodness. And so for next session, we are going to experiment on something new. We are going to do what we are calling the radio show. And you are all invited to our radio show. We have, as a first guest, Katharina Berger. Katharina was our innovation specialist and former head of design thinking at Deutsche Bank. And she has amazing experiences, not just from the bank, but from a few more large corporate clients that she has in Germany. And oh boy, does she has delicious stories. We will not mention any names from these clients, but we will enjoy her stories with delight. And so be ready to be delighted by some of these stories on how organizations learn and evolve, coming from the trenches of how it is done or how it is difficult to do it in these complex corporate environments. So do not miss next week's radio show. we will have a lot of surprising things, including fake microphones. Oh yes. So
Register link
ready
is in
for
the
that and
bio.
much more.
Register link is in the chat, by the way.
Do
Oh,
register.
yeah.
Thank you, Axel. Thank you, everybody, for coming to Axel's talk on the coach state. Axel, if we can hear you now, we invite you to stay in the backstage. We will be here for another 30 minutes, just chatting and asking questions. So sounds like we can hear Axel now. If you want to stick around, we can talk some more.
Yes.
We would need to just switch off
Can
YouTube
you hear me now?
we get into the backstage.
Yes.
We're gonna switch off YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye bye.